Thank you for being here. This work is part of our ongoing efforts to develop a Mexican Pangenome project, and it's also related to what we are interested in developing and exploring if we can produce a highly continuous telomere-to-telomere sequences in mid-sized lab like ours. So to begin with, I would like to give you some context on the population genomics in Mexico. The modern Mexican population is the result of the complex admixture processes, mainly between the Amerindian population, mainly the European population, and to a lesser extent, Asian and African ancestries. And as you can see here in this graphs, you can see that the genetic diversity in Mexico is not homogeneous. Different regions of the country have different ancestral components, and this has an impact both in population genomics and in variation in clinical related traits. During the last decade, we have learned a lot about the genomic variation in the Mexican population. However, there is still a lack of information of Mexican genomes and in general Latino genomes in different databases internationally. So it's, we need to improve the characterization of our population in order to make it better. The other thing that we should have to take into account is the way that we have generated this data. And most of the information that we got is coming from both genotyping arrays and whole genome and whole exome short read sequencing. However, as we know, even short read sequencing in the whole genome will cover all the genome itself, and we will be losing some areas, particularly complex regions of the genome, which are important in order to analyze fully the genetic variation of a population, particularly if you are dealing with a structural variation, for example. So even though these efforts have been very important, generating thousands of hundreds of genotypes and several and a good number of whole genomes, it's still important to take into account that we are missing some parts of the genome and that we really need to apply new methods for sequencing the whole genome in order to better understand the genomic variation. And that's where international efforts such as the Pangenome project are very important. The Human Pangenome project in its second phase will include a higher number of samples from different ancestries, and importantly will include at least 2 Mexican ancestry samples from Los Angeles. So this will help in both increasing the diversity of the reference genome that we use, but also the Pangenome will take into advantage these new methodologies in order to describe a better genome and a whole and a complete genome to better understand genomic variation as a whole. Importantly, as we know, to generate this telomere-to-telomere sequences, we have to use a combination of techniques. And historically, the generation of highly contiguous chromosome-scale human genome assemblies has been only possible through the combination of different methods. And these methods usually are technically complex, they are expensive, and usually they are only available in dedicated sequencing facilities. And this, as a consequence, has hampered most of the clinical labs and research labs, mid-sized labs, to generate this kind of telomere-to-telomere assemblies. And fortunately, that's beginning to change in the last year, thanks to improvement in nanopore chemistry and also to the development of novel assembly algorithms like Hi-Fi, SAMO, and T. And now we can generate highly contiguous, almost complete genomes using simplex long sequences from only nanopore, from the nanopore platform. So this, of course, has an impact because now you can be able to generate this kind of complete genomes in mid-sized labs. And that exactly takes me to the size of my lab. No, I work in the Mexican Institute, the National Institute of Genomic Medicine in Mexico City. I lead the Cancer Genomics Laboratory, and actually my nanopore sequencing group is very small. It's only composed by Dr. Mireya Cisneros Villanueva, who is working with RNA analysis, and Master in Sciences Ilse Colorado, who is working on DNA and who generated all the sequencing data that I'll be presenting today. We have access to a P2 Solo through a gridiron, so we don't have a lot of infrastructure. But anyway, taking this into account, the last year we've been working on the development of a Mexican Pangenome project with the idea to generate at least 30 high-quality near telomere-to-telomere genomes from diverse individuals in Mexico and to integrate them into a Mexican Pangenome. And that's only to capture population-specific genomic variation and to improve biological discovery and also the interpretation of precision medicine tests in our population. Of course, if we want to do this, we had to begin somewhere, and we focused our initial efforts in the assembly of 3 genomes. we selected 3 samples with an Amerindian ancestral component higher than 60%. This is because most of what we know about human genomic variation comes from the European population, and there's not a lot of information about the Amerindian variation in this sample. So we decided to go for a higher than 60% Amerindian ancestral component, and when actually we sequenced these samples and we used the ONT data using ancestry informative markers to calculate the ancestry, and once we selected these samples, we were able to establish the whole pipeline from sample collection to assembly validation. As you can see in this slide, we go from sample collection, freshly collected blood, and we extract the DNA, both long and ultra long. And if necessary, we go through size selection and short fragment elimination to prepare libraries for ligation sequencing and also for ultra long sequencing. Sequencing was done on a P2 solo. We used a sub model for base calling, and the assemblies were generated with HiFi SAM ONT in our laboratory. For the assembly evaluation and analysis, we used QUAST for completeness, BUSCO for biological completeness, and for the analysis of telomere structure, we used Quartet. Of course, every step of this pipeline has to be put into context, and this was very important, particularly when we were dealing with ultra-long DNA. If you're working with ultra-long DNA, handling this type of DNA is quite hard, from the extraction to the library construction and library loading in the flow cell. And this became very evident when we realized what we were getting from throughput of this kind of libraries. For this assembly that I'll be discussing, we used 3 promethean flow cells to get more than 40x coverage with an N50 of around 30 kilobases, and we combined that with 4 ultra-long flow cells to get around 15x coverage with an N50 of about 120 kilobases. So we combined this data, and we are working right now in getting better on how to use this ultra-long DNA in order to get more throughput. We think we are in the low scale, and we might be generating more data if we are able to better to improve the throughput of these flow cells, particularly with ultra-long sequencing. But anyway, despite this, our assembly showed chromosome-scale contiguity and biological completeness. As you can see here, the contig number that we obtained in the primary assembly is 42, and we got an N50 of around 155 megabases, which is chromosome scale. And also we got 99% BUSCO completeness. So this is telling us that the assembly is comparable to what you can get with a traditional mixture of different technologies, but only using long and ultra-long nanopore reads. And in a middle-sized laboratory with 3 people working. We also wanted to check the collinearity and the coverage regarding of our assembly regarding the telomere-to-telomere international reference, and our assembly yielded 20 contigs with telomeres at both ends and near complete collinearity to the T2T reference. So this is consistent with the presence of T2T-like chromosome-scale structures. You can see shaded in green the contigs and the chromosomes that show telomeres at both sides. And also, we show that the remaining gaps in our assembly are minimal, and they are confined to highly repetitive sequences in regions including the centromeres, the acrocentric chromosomes, and the Y chromosomes, which, as you know, are very difficult regions to manage because of the repetitive sequence that is there. So it was a very good assembly. And of course, we wanted also to know what was lying inside these regions that were not covered in our assembly. So we did we analyzed which genes were in the uncovered regions, and most of the uncovered regions were effectively mainly chromosome Y, and a very minimal number of protein coding genes. So importantly, none of the genes in the uncovered regions are reported as clinically relevant at the time of analysis. So this is telling us that this kind of assemblies are very useful for clinical use, and that you are not really losing most of the clinical information that will be relevant for this type of analysis. And that leads us to our conclusion. So ONT, long and ultra-long, non-linear telomere-to-telomere assemblies are achievable in mid-sized labs. And remaining gaps are driven by sequence repetitiveness and alignment ambiguity rather than loss or functional or clinically actionable genomic content. So they support the near completeness and translational robustness of the assemblies that we're getting. And of course, we achieve near telomere-to-telomere assemblies with highly concordant chromosome structure to the telomere-to-telomere international reference. And the few remaining gaps are confined to repeat dense regions and show minimal overlap with protein coding genes or clean gene disease genes. In practice, this means that the assembly is effectively complete for functional and clinical interpretation. And nowadays, you can generate this kind of data with a limited resource sequencing data and with a small working group. So with that, I would like to end, and thank you for your attention.